The Lieutenant Dan leg scenes where we had to take off Gary Sinise's legs, the one thing that I wanted to do, because it would add so much to the audience believing this had occurred, was to have him passing through the physical space of tables or whatever it is with the stumps of his legs, where if it was a fake and you had your legs sticking straight out like he really did in a lot of these shots, he would hit the table. He wouldn't be able to pass through it. So it changed what your impression is in a very subtle way of what's going on. Now, if we didn't do that, you could have almost believed that he had his legs tucked under or whatever it was. So there's a lot of things going on there. We tried to have Gary do things with his legs. You told the audience you weren't hiding anything. That's a complicated scene in the hospital, which didn't have too much of that going on, but it just had this dead-on long shot where you're scrutinizing that this has happened to him, where the orderly comes in, lifts him out of the bed, and takes him away. Well, what's happening there is the bed has holes in it. His legs are just down in there. The guy comes in, picks him up. His legs are dangling there. We made sure he didn't hit anything with them, and he carries him out. So then the holes in the bed were repaired digitally so they don't exist. The shadows of his real legs were removed because you're seeing them, and Gary's wearing blue stockings, which helped us a little bit on trying to pull some mats. There's also some tricks going on where there's wrinkles put in around the stumps of his legs that are painted in, so we're pushing the sheets around a little bit as his stumps sort of hit it in a way that would only happen if that was a real event taking place.
It's time for your bath, Lieutenant. Harper?
I think the more successful shots there are, which telegraphs the idea that his legs are cut off, is when he falls out of the wheelchair in that desperate scene in that crummy apartment. And what I did was I put an old table there. Gary falls out and he does the whole scene, but the table's not there. We took the table out of the scene, and then he swings with his real legs going right through where that table is and comes forward to the audience right before he forces himself back up into the wheelchair. And once we got that shot, we put the table back into the scene. We shot what's called a blank plate. Basically, no actors are in it. And then that table and that area is put back into the scene with Gary digitally, basically composited in there. So then the legs are painted out, and it just takes a little bit more away from the artificial quality of it. I mean, he could never have done that with real legs anywhere.
This is a shot where Forrest and Lieutenant Dan are shrimping, and Lieutenant Dan lowers down from the mast, and you can see as he passes right in front of Forrest that he truly doesn't have legs. In the real shot, of course, he has legs, so what we had to do was digitally erase the lower parts of his legs and replace that open space with the background of the boat, with part of Tom's arm and leg as he passed over. Now, it's particularly difficult because there's a camera move here, and the perspective of the background that we're reintroducing is shifting continuously. So in this particular case, you couldn't just grab a piece of the boat and paste it over here, because the perspective of the background in this particular area is completely different than what it might be in the area that you need to replace on a frame-by-frame basis.
And it's just the same thing we did on the boat. There's a great scene on the boat where he's thanking Forrest for saving his life, and he realizes that means a lot in this movie. And he's sitting there with his legs in front of the side of the Jenny, basically, the shrimp boat. And he swings around and jumps into the water. Well, what we did is we cut a big section out of the boat. So there's no side there. Gary's sitting right next to this hole. He does the scene with his blue legs hanging down like this, swings out right through that solid space of a boat, and then leaps off into a mattress. He never did go in the water because of all the different takes we had to do. Then we put the side of the boat back in, and then blended that into the scene with Gary so it looked like it was a solid piece. And then all the time, each one of these leg shots, however his pants are handled with a knot at the end or whatever it is, we had to duplicate that same fill in CG and then blend that together so it all sort of covered up where his real leg was and made you believe it was a stump. And then just more complications. When he jumps, Gary goes off, we had to go to a piece of film where it was a stunt guy jumping off, and the stunt guy is who you see through the little hole in the boat, and he's the one who went in the water each time.
Forrest? I never thanked you for saving my life.
He never actually said so, but I think he made his peace with God.